CBS Sports HQ presented by NerdWallet. Turn to the nerds. Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco standing by. I'll be turning to them shortly as we pick up Championship Sunday and pick both games against the spread. The Bengals 75-1 to win the AFC before the season. Now all they have to do is do what they did earlier this month. Win at Arrowhead. Jeremy St. Louis with a preview.
And then there were four. The Bengals and Chiefs will battle it out at Arrowhead for the right to represent the AFC in Super Bowl 56. For Cincy, they entered the season with 150-1 odds to win it all, with a projected win total of just 6.5 games. But it's been all about defying the odds all season long for the Bengals. Joe Burrow made a miraculous recovery from that torn ACL and looks like he'll be one of the faces of the franchise and the league for the next decade or more. His stellar play led Cincy to their first AFC North title since the 2015 season. And after closing out 2 games late to start the playoffs, the Bengals now find themselves on the doorstep of reaching their first Super Bowl in 33 years. But internally, this is something they expected all along.
I'm tired of the underdog narrative. We're a really, really good team. We're here to make noise.
On the other side, it looked like the Chiefs' season was on life support against the Bills in the divisional round, down 3 with just 13 seconds to go. But 2 people that never lost faith, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
And when it's grim, be the Grim Reaper and go get it. So he did that.
After pulling off the win in overtime in an instant playoff classic, the Chiefs are now 1 win away from reaching their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl. Will Mahomes have another magical performance in front of one of the most raucous crowds in the NFL? Or can Joey Franchise keep transforming a franchise that is still searching for its first Lombardi? We're going to find out Sunday on CBS.
Bengals beat the Chiefs a few weeks ago. Can they do it again and get to the title game? Chris Hassel joined by Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco. And Pete has led our picks contest this entire season. At one point, week 11, led by as many as 8 games over Brady Quinn. But Pete is crumbling down the stretch. That lead, just 1 with 3 games left to pick. The 2 this week and then the Super Bowl. There's Brady right on his heels after a 3-1 divisional round.
Let me just say this to start off. Pete won the regular season. I did give him the opportunity to end it there, and he said no. He was gracious enough to give him the opportunity in the playoffs. That's where we're at. That's how we got to this point.
Well, I can say this. 13 seconds. 13
Oh, no.
seconds.
Reggie says you're choking.
I am choking. 13 seconds. Who's choking more, me or the Buffalo Bills? Because if the Bills win that game, Brady's dormy. You can't catch me.
The best I could do in that instance would be tie.
Right, so you're dormy.
Wow, a golf analogy for Pete. I love him.
Yeah. Well, because I beat him at golf once, too. So, and you, too.
You've never beat me.
Yes, I did.
No, you have not. We're getting off topic.
With strokes, he claims he beats everyone.
No, I beat you. I beat you.
Yeah, you
both.
can't factor the handicap.
I don't. There was no
going
handicap. I won.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
There's always a handicap with you.
No.
Pete Prisco, 1 game ahead of Brady Quinn. Brady can catch him this week. Pete has said, and we have proof of this, I've screenshotted our text messages. Pete says he's going to take the exact same as Brady the rest of the way so that Brady can't catch him. Find out if he does that here on HQ. But we have, to start the show, first time ever, I believe, your spinning top of the week.
Well, opening the show with it.
Spinning top of the week.
Look at this. I never thought we'd get to this top billing finally.
It's A block.
It is A block. And I'll tell you what, it should be an A block. It should be an F block for the Cincinnati Bengals. They were awful the other day trying to protect Joe Burrow. If he didn't move, he would have been maimed in that game, and he was maimed anyways. Take a look. Here we go. This is Jonah Williams. He had a bad game, and, you know, usually for Jonah Williams, you have a bad game, you bounce back and have a good game. He's just not very
What
good.
route concept are we running up there in the middle? You got 2 guys standing right next to each other. I mean, you can blame the offensive line. There were some times, too, where, hey, just get the ball out quicker. Call some 3-steps.
Come on, but you got to be better than that, Brady. There he is again, Jonah Williams. And this guy, the right guard was one of the all-time worst. Hakeem Adeniji might be one of the all-time worst offensive linemen I've ever seen. And they benched the guy to get to him. Remember, Jackson Carman, the rookie, was playing right guard, and now they put him in there. How do you not? Okay, this is miscommunication, but come on.
Clearly, between the right guard, right tackle.
Correct.
You know,
but it looks like, why is he tapping down on when the center has that guy? It looks like that's on him.
Bad communication, though, from the tackle, too.
This is just getting.
No, there's something coming off the slot.
This is just getting beat against a really good player. Jeffrey Simmons is a really good player, but come on, you're a big physical guy.
Look, Autry had a huge game, too, in this one, and this is going to be a focus, I think, for the Chiefs in a rematch we saw.
Look at this. He walked him back. I mean, just awful. It was just an awful performance. And it could have been a lot more if Joe Burrow didn't move.
But look,
and he put a couple were on him.
A couple, I'd say about half.
Not
all right,
half,
because you say half are on him, half are on the coaching staff for not doing a better job of fixing it. And as you could see, how many 6-man, 5-man protections did you see in that picture?
Well, you know, some of his best work comes in empty.
I don't care, because it only comes in empty if you're getting the ball out quick. Right. You can't throw the football on your back. Right. And that's a problem.
Protect.
The bottom line is, some are on him, some are on the O-line, and some's on the coaching staff for not doing a better job of getting the ball out of his hand quick.
The O-line was terrible. There's no other way to. There's no other way that you're sugarcoating again.
I'm not sugarcoating.
I could put up 20 plays of a guy on his back, and you would say, well, he was injured, or he did this, or he didn't play well. It was just a bad day for him.
You could do that in a lot of games, and what you'll see is a guy's either running out of it, or they're going to then start getting the ball out of his hand quicker, or run more 7-man protections. They didn't do that.
The offensive line play in the National Football League is awful. It really is across the board. It's terrible. And I don't know how you fix it. They don't get time to work on it. It's a bit.
I mean, you're right. And look, it's a much more grassroots issue. Because I think, one, you've got, a prevalence of kids who maybe would have been playing tackle now are trying to play tight end because there's a bunch of 7-on-7 leagues. They're getting into tackle football later in life where you're not going to have as many offensive linemen. You get these spread offenses where guys are constantly moving backwards or lateral.
No hand in the dirt.
They're no hand in the dirt. They're not coming off the ball. So from high school to college, then to the NFL, to your point, there's no time for development. So you're seeing that issue with offensive line development, but you're also seeing this is the greatest gap or disparity between athleticism on one side on the D-line and what you're seeing on the offensive line. That's why you're going to see more teams take D linemen who can't make it, especially interior guys, and then transition them into offensive line because they're better athletes and it makes sense.
I agree.
Well, let's get into the game and the picks. The AFC Championship game, CBS, 3 o'clock Eastern time. It's the first game on Championship Sunday. The Chiefs are favored by 7 at home, have to be licking their chops getting to Joe Burrow on Sunday.
Oh, I mean, you're watching the tape that Pete just put out there. There's no way, you're going to allow these guys to be in one-on-one. Let's not forget, too, the last 2 times these teams played, Chris Jones had a couple sacks. They had 4 sacks on Burrow in that game, so they had some success. I think the bigger question for the Kansas City Chiefs comes down to how they go about trying to stop Jamar Chase. He was phenomenal this last matchup, and at times, too, it looks like there was maybe a bust in the coverage or there wasn't good communication, but they were intent on stopping Joe Mixon because they did stop the run, but they allowed Jamar Chase to have a career day almost.
266 receiving
on 11
yards,
catches, 3 touchdowns. It was ridiculous. it really, and there was times when he was running.
One of those was on 3rd and 27, by the way.
And so that's the challenge for Steve Spagnuolo and the defensive staff, and really the defense for the Chiefs, is how do you got to pick your poison. You either have to load the box to stop the run and see how you're going to go about trying to stop this from happening again, or you devote another guy in coverage, situationally too, and try to double chase and take him out of the game and see if you can still create big plays elsewhere. That's the challenge for the Chiefs. But that being said, I had to have some differences with you. I tried to wait as long as possible to put my picks in just so I could pick opposite of you. So I'm laying the 7 points. It's a big number. I don't love it, but I'm trying to go for the win here. So I try to disagree with you as much as possible this particular week to go for it all, putting all chips in to try to get a win.
So you took the fake. I love the Chiefs, too.
That's such a lie.
No, I don't. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it play out. I never play that way. I would never play that way in any sport ever. He wins, he wins. He loses.
There's a text message that says otherwise.
I was kidding. Yeah. I would never do that. I put my picks in before you put your picks in. I had the Bengals, and I'm taking the Bengals. To start, when they get to Arrowhead, Zach Taylor should sit down and kiss the ground and say, I almost blew this the last time we played by my end-of-the-game management. Yes, he did, Brady. It was awful. He almost blew it. They almost didn't get to this point, but it worked out. And here they are. And they can score on anybody. The Chiefs' secondary is awful right now, and I think there's going to be opportunities to score points. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm not saying the Chiefs are going to win the game, but I think the Bengals are going to hang around because of that passing game, and they're better on defense than you think they are. Those pass rushers can get up the field. That's one thing we noticed last week. Mahomes was able to move, but they didn't rush the passer very well, the Buffalo Bills, and that was their whole offseason. Got to get Mahomes on the ground. This team will get him on the ground more. I think it's a closer game, high-scoring. I love the over, and I love the Bengals.
The over is the best bet. I mean, obviously, for our picks, though, we got to lay down something against the spread. I'm going to lay the 7 points. I don't feel overly great. The one thing you mentioned, as far as coverage goes, their secondary was awful. Granted, you know, Mike Hughes slips on one. Gabriel Davis is wide open in the end zone. There's some reasons for it that you probably think, or at least when you draw the play up, you've got that guy covered. You don't expect him to slip. But Tyrann Mathieu, if he doesn't play in this game, if he can't go, that's going to be a huge
I think he's playing.
loss. And we're expecting him to play.
I think he's playing.
You hope he's 100%. You hope he's a part of it. You'd want to see how he'd match up, even though, again, last time these two teams played, it didn't play much of a factor in that one. But big number. It's Kansas City, though, man, with 13 seconds left.
Look.
You want to say Buffalo blew it. The reality is Kansas City found a way
Buffalo
to
blew
win
it.
it.
Yeah, they found a way to win it, but Buffalo blew it. Squib the kick.
I don't
mug them at the line of scrimmage. Don't let them get off. I mean, there's a lot of ways. And I know there's a rule that if you mug them and across the board, you can get called for penalty, and that would bring the time back onto the clock and 15 yards. But you can do it within the context of the game. They should never have had free releases for Hill, never had free releases for Travis Kelce. Look, I'm not a defensive coordinator. I'm not an NFL head coach, nor are you, but you guys could see that. That was bad defense.
It was bad defense. I would have never rushed 4 either. You know, you take one of those guys out in coverage, to your point, you know, have him press Travis Kelce at the line of scrimmage, disrupt him getting off the football.
So Brady likes the Chiefs -7. Pete, Bengals, but you don't see them winning, do you?
No. I mean, it's possible.
Okay.
And then we could be closer to 1 and 10.
Well, yeah, but we should make sure we mention that Pete didn't even
picked
have the
against them last
Bengals
week.
I did.
getting to this point.
I did.
So you won't get credit for it if they win.
Oh, I still get credit.
You get 0 credit.
I still get credit.
By the way,
really.
the referee is Bill Vinovich. His crew has called the fewest penalties of any crew all season, an average of
Let him
9
play.
Thank God.
So that's good. That's good news for this game. Bad news over in the NFC, it's Carl Sheffers, okay? His crew has called the most, 14.5 penalties per game. Championship schedule looks like this. The CBS coverage kicks you off mid-afternoon, Chiefs, Bengals, and then the NFC Championship game, 6:30 Eastern Time on Sunday evening.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.